Palpatine may have made himself Emperor, but that doesn't mean he could rule entirely alone. This transmission will cover who Mas Amedda is, his rise from Vice Chair to Grand Vizier, how he kept the Empire's civil machinery compliant, what happened to him after Endor, and how legends and canon differ. Mas Amedda is a blue-skinned Chagrian who stands at the center of galactic power with a forked tongue and ceremonial staff. For a time, he served as Vice Chair of the Galactic Senate when Finis Valorum was Chancellor. Amedda kept his prestigious position as Palpatine maneuvered himself into the job. He is the living embodiment of governmental procedure. Little is known about Amedda's beginnings. His species, the Chagrian, are classified as amphibious. The long tentacles growing out of their heads are sensory appendages. The males of the species are easily identified with tall horns protruding from the tops of their heads. Amedda made a sacrifice moving to a planet like Coruscant, a planet covered entirely by cities. Being an amphibious species by nature, the Chagrian prefer to be in water, and even built their homes where the tides of the planet, Champala, would submerge them fully. Champala is located in the Inner Rim and is a vacation destination for beings from all over the galaxy. It boasts a warm climate and immaculate beaches. It's easily accessible by many with serious credits to their names. Amedda stands apart from his people with his political aspirations and need for power. The average Chagrian wanted for very little as their planet had enough wealth to go around. They established successful social programs in education, medical care, and they achieved real societal equality. Side effects of these programs led to low crime rates and a just court system when it was needed. To further separate Amedda from his people, when Palpatine did seize power, the Chagrian correctly saw that the Imperial regime as cruel. Amedda likely did as well, but he was inside and lavishes in the power that he could wield. He understood what he looked like and how he presented matters to the galaxy. Having a prominent member of the Republic government stay in a prominent position of the Imperial government was a sign of consistency. His symbolic staff was used as a clear symbol between the two regimes. It also made sense for the Empire to have this public face be non-human to combat allegations, spoken or not, of xenophobia. When Palpatine's grand plans were made a reality and the Galactic Empire rose, Amedda did not step down. He actually pushed harder to step up. As Palpatine restructures everything to better serve his desires, Amedda was promoted to Grand Vizier. This lofty title makes him Chief Civil Administrator, head of the Imperial Ruling Council, and a buffer for Palpatine so he could work on his ambitions and not be bothered by the day-to-day running of his newly birthed empire. He got to keep this position so long as he could turn Palpatine's demands into galactic policy, and do so quickly. If you're getting value or entertainment out of any of my transmissions, it would mean a lot if you would join the Remnant and subscribe. Amedda even had a hand in the Jedi purge. He didn't go into battle with them, but once again used bureaucracy to aid Palpatine's evil plans. Directly after Order 66 purged the majority of the Jedi from the galaxy, Amedda became the public face of the regime's cover story. He gave press conferences, news reports, and staged rallies, declaring the Jedi traitors to justify their eradication. During the ceremony, he took great pleasure in publicly destroying confiscated lightsabers with an incinerator. The proclamations of this new age were sold to the citizens of the galaxy as an age of peace and protection through law and order. The most obvious saviors for the people, the Jedi Order, now have a tarnished reputation and were enemies of the state. So what does a Grand Vizier actually do? Practically, Amedda turned Palpatine's whispers into workflows. Procurement becomes rearmament schedules. Budget marks become stormtrooper quotas. Senate procedures become decrees that ministries could file and obey. When the Imperial Defense Recruitment Bill shifted the Empire from clones to mass enlistment, Amedda's office handled the translation of policy into contracts, drafts, and training pipelines. Superweapons and massive fleets were projects with huge scopes that required thousands, if not millions, of beings with even more credits and moving parts needed to keep things on track. We've all seen the Empire showing its might with fleets and white-clad stormtroopers, but the real machine of it involves forms, stamps, schedules, and meetings. Palpatine takes a step back from politicking in the day-to-day, leaving Amedda there to fill the void. He must have been good at his job too, as the Empire's reach spread quickly and he was a non-human in a regime that was more and more xenophobic. As the Clone Wars fade, the Senate's relevance went with it. The Emperor becomes a phantom, rarely seen and never questioned, at least not out loud. Amedda became the intermediary, everyone actually had to deal with. Though we don't see Amedda doing his thing after the prequel trilogy, he's always there lurking in the shadows, always working. When the rebellion steps into the Empire's trap at the Battle of Endor, the unexpected happens. The rebels win the war. The Emperor and his loyal enforcer, Darth Vader, are gone. The Empire has a massive power vacuum at the top. This was the birth of the Imperial Remnant. High-ranking Imperial military leaders become warlords, challenging each other for supremacy, while the Rebel Alliance reforms into the New Republic. Amedda danced quickly to stay relevant. He was a captive administrator who kept serving the whims of whatever ruler fancied themselves the new emperor in their short-lived stints trying to organize the crumbling empire. The Empire, if you could even still call it that by 5 ABY, ends up losing the Battle of Jakku, and that's where they officially surrender to the New Republic. Amedda relinquishes his title and surrenders as a civilian. He was one of many to sign the Imperial Instrument of Surrender. This important document is an armistice that leads the suffering galaxy to the Galactic Concordance and formally ends the Galactic Civil War. The signatures on this document are crucial to Imperial civil servants surviving into the era of the New Republic. Now looking into Legends, we get a very similar picture to who Amedda is and what he meant to the wider galaxy. He served as Vice-Chancellor to Valorum and then Palpatine. As the Empire rises out of the Clone Wars, he was one of the first members and eventually became the leader of the Imperial Ruling Council. Legends tells more stories of Council infighting and dark side advisors than we see in canon, but the two gel together nicely, and the infighting especially fits with the Empire and their constant bickering and arrogance. Legends puts more heat on the Council. Names like Sate Pistage and Ars Dangor loom large there. Amedda is oftentimes framed as a top ruling council figure amid power plays by Moffs and darkside courtiers. I'm just going to interrupt for 1 second. Today's video is sponsored by me. Imperial Remnant now has a merch store, and it's not just designed specific to the channel. I'm working with a couple talented artists to bring you unique Star Wars themed designs. Check out the link in the description. Alright, back to the lore. Canon or Legends, Amedda's story and purpose are generally the same. Palpatine conquers the galaxy, crushes his enemies, weaponizes fear itself. He uses Amedda as an extension of his governmental title of Emperor to weaponize procedure and keep the Empire running day to day. Despite any biases or injustices Palpatine might have had, even with his obsession for power, he knew how to use people to do the things he didn't want to do and get what he needed out of them. This also gave him a clever scapegoat if things ever got too bad politically and he had to put the blame on somebody else. Check out this transmission next for more Star Wars lore.